Hi everyone. This video is a book review about a book that I have had for a couple of years, and the title of this book is Design Bloggers at Home: Fresh Interiors, Inspiration from Leading Online Trendsetters, and it was written by Ellie Tennant with photography by Rachel Whiting. Now, I don't know where I got this book. I don't know if I got this book in a little free library box, which I think may have been the thing. I think I got it from there. I may have gotten it from the thrift store or my mother's apartment. But I've had this book for a few years, and I read it last year. I got to the middle and I didn't finish it. But since I've been on this whole decluttering journey, as you can see, I still got like a whole bunch more to go. I have been very inspired trying to look up new ways to decorate my apartment, to see how I can form my own little style, and just get ideas from other people who are making their homes into walking art pieces. So before I get into this book and some of the bloggers who showcase their homes, let me tell you a little bit about the author, Ellie Tennant. It says on ellietennant.com, Ellie Tennant, interiors journalist, stylist, and author. She says, I specialize in all things home-related with particular expertise in design, antiques, and simple living areas. As an experienced journalist and editor, I've spent nearly 15 years producing beautiful and engaging features for leading home interest publications, penning captivating content for online platforms, and writing, styling, and editing books. I worked in-house on leading titles such as Ideal Home Magazine before going freelance in 2011. Since then, I've had the pleasure of being commissioned by a wide range of editorial clients, traveling the globe in search of creative homes, and writing about a huge spectrum of fascinating subjects. Passionate about sharing my love of interiors, I've been interviewed as a design expert on live radio broadcasts, sat on awards judging panels, given lectures, run workshops, and I have a large following both in the print and online realms. I never tire of exploring the ways in which we live. So, she's pretty much established, and she sounds like a very interesting person. I have just started gaining an interest in interior design. I actually have maybe 3 or 4 books that I've had for maybe like 7 years over in the corner about interior design that I just had on my shelf. Sometimes I'll keep books about subjects that I know I'll have an interest in later, but at the time I just don't. So right now I'm in my interior design phase. Now, the photographer, it doesn't say anything about her in here. They mentioned something about her a little bit, but there's no bio in the front like the author has. So, this book was very wonderful to read. It is almost 10 years old. It was published in 2014. So, even though this book is a decade old, I still think some of the styles that I've seen in this book are still being used, despite the current trends that are happening right now. It also featured very beautiful photography. The photography kept me turning the page after page. So, let's go to the introduction. It says, fueled by Diet Coke and adrenaline, Rachel and I traveled the globe to make this book, visiting a Gallimaufry of homes along the way, from a country ranch in rural California's Wild West to a smart seaside house in Sweden, from an ancient cottage in misty Cornwall, England, to an urban apartment in sunny San Francisco, USA. We covered many miles. A lot of the bloggers that I noticed in here were in a lot of European countries. I hope that she comes out with a 10th edition, or I mean a 10th anniversary copy. I would have liked to see more homes that were in places like Asia, places like Africa. That would be really nice, because I felt she just focused mainly on, the United States and Europe, and that's about it. But I'd really like to see like what a person's home in Australia looked like, what a person's home in Africa looked like, or somewhere in Europe. So maybe that could be something, if she comes out with an edition in the future, that she could think about. Despite the fact that we were taking trains, taxis, and planes to reach each home, and having plenty of adventures along the way, from driving past Stonehenge and fog on midsummer solstice to flying low in a tiny propeller plane above bushfires in America, we were struck by how small the world of blogging really is. Now, I am not an expert in blogging, but I feel like depending on what blog you have, it may have gotten smaller, or it's been replaced by something like Instagram or TikTok. I think people are more willing to look at videos more so than reading a blog post, or they want to look at the photography and have very short scripts of words rather than, reading an extensive, well-written blog essay. So on this page, she has some photography, very nice photography. I'm really loving these lamps. She said, "This was highlighted for us time and time again, not only by the connections and friendships of the bloggers we had with one another, but by the kindness and generous hospitality that they showed to us as guests in their homes. From dashing around Target for a late-night post-shoot shopping spree with Jonathan in California to enjoying Maria's freshly baked bread for lunch in Sacramento, the 12 bloggers in this book welcomed us into their homes and their lives." So although it's a lot of photographies, they only focus on 12 bloggers. But as I was reading it, it felt like I was reading about at least 30 different bloggers, just based on the amount of photos that were in this book. So if you're a person that's very visual, I think you'll like this. Like visual where you don't get overwhelmed, of course. So, the bloggers in this book are among the cream of the crop, but there are many other brilliant blogs out there and a plethora of top bloggers with beautiful homes to explore. We simply couldn't fit them all in 160 pages, but online there are no limitations, no boundaries. So, in the front, they have different chapters that focus on the style of each blogger. So, the styles are pared back, rustic, retro chic, homespun, color fun, and, creating your own blog. Some of the homes in here I felt were kind of similar to what I was trying to achieve with my home, even though it's currently junky. And others were like complete opposite of what I would be doing. So let's try pared back. The first home. No. Hold up. Okay. Yeah. Pared back. When she goes through each chapter, she mentions the blogger's blog. She has little sections in there that ask like what they love and their blogging tips. So this is My Scandinavian Home. It's the title of the blog, if you can see it. Hold on. You see? The seaside home of English expat Nikki Brentmark is a light-filled family house that is both chic and practical. Spacious and sociable open-plan living areas have been cleverly zoned using lighting and furniture, and Nikki is living proof that you can have a child-friendly home without sacrificing on style. So what stands out with me for this person's blog is they have a lot of black and white. So this first page, I got black and white. We got black and white over here. What else? What's also interesting is how sometimes you can tell when they don't have children or their children are out of the house because it's more like pushing the envelope. Like you don't have to child-proof your home because there's no child there. And also with each photograph, we have a section describing what's in the photograph. So like right here, this wall is chalkboard paint. It says, a huge blackboard chalkboard wall provides a gallery-like area where Nikki displays her children's colorful artwork. They're only young once, she says. I think it's sad when parents don't let their children self-express at home. It's also a handy place for me to stick shopping lists and write reminders. A lot of these people in this book, they create their own rules for how they want to style their home. Some people might be like, why are you using that? That's crazy. But for them, it works. She has a 4-bedroom house that was built in 2001 as a show home for the BO01 housing exhibition, which focused on the regeneration of the Docklands area of Malmo. The architects made this a lovely place to live, she says. The roads are pedestrianized so the children can play outside safely. There are communal gardens we share with neighbors, and wherever you are, you can hear running water, which gives the whole area a peaceful feel. It's idyllic, but when Nikki, her Swedish husband Per, and children Olivia, Alice, and Albin first viewed the house 5 years ago, it wasn't exactly love at first sight. It had green ceilings and red skirting boards, remembers Nikki. It was horrific, actually, but the windows were massive and we loved the location, so we just went for it and painted all the walls and ceilings white as soon as we moved in. I think they're really lucky that they have a house and they can paint the walls their color. Me, I feel like my walls are gray. I would rather my walls be completely bright white or black so the artwork can stand out. Like I'm still, as I declutter, I'm slowly creating the apartment I want. It just has the limits. It's just very limited. The best apartment I had was the one I lived on before I moved here. And it essentially was my top decorating. I had trees, I had plants. I was having a fun time. It had everything I wanted in an apartment. It even had stained glass windows. It was just too dangerous. They were unaliving people outside, so I couldn't live there anymore. But I think it's really cool when you have the ability to paint your walls and all of these different things. And what's interesting is some people in here had apartments and they painted their walls, but most of them were in different countries. So I don't know really how apartment renting works in other countries. Like, is it different than the US? Like, do you pay month to month? Do you pay a year ahead? Like, do you own a fraction? How does that work? Or does it work the same? But if you're in an apartment, sometimes it's limiting. I would recommend wallpaper. wallpaper that you can take off when you leave. Pale pink sweet peas reflect Nikki's girly side. Swedish homes tend to be contemporary and masculine, but I sometimes dream of owning an old house full of romantic vintage pieces. So she has all these little knickknacks and bottles. You can wash white walls with a damp sponge, so every now and again I get rid of all of the children's little fingerprints. Also, with white, you can easily touch up areas or give walls another coat when you want a quick fresh, but I wouldn't have a white sofa unless it had slipovers. Apart from giving her home the airy Scandinavian look she loves, the white walls also serve another purpose. It gets really dark here during the winter months when the sun barely rises and you never get a proper fix of sunlight. It's depressing. That's why white walls and mirrors are so important here to reflect as much light as possible. Maybe that's why, like, when you go to different places, they'll be painting the houses very bright colors because it's a dark area. Over here, she has certain symbols. So, Nikki has nailed the art of the display, arranging her treasures with skill and panache. My single diamond print is by up-and-coming graphic designer Katharina Birdgreen. Reveals Nikki, who is always on the lookout for fresh art to add to her ever-growing collection. An industrial-style bare light bulb illuminates the display. Sometimes when you look at these bloggers' homes, you'll start noticing they'll have the same type of pattern. Like if they like bumblebees, you'll see bumblebees in this room and bumblebees in that room. And pretty interesting. They try to make it cohesive. But you know what's really interesting is in the children's room, it's still white, but it's more color. She mentions that in her book. This is actually the cleanest children's room I've ever seen. I don't know how they do it. She says, Nikki has perfected the art of achieving clean, minimalist look while juggling family life. We've got good storage, she confides. When you're a family as messy as we are, living in a country full of people as tidy as the Swedish are, it's essential. She also says, by day, Nikki works as a marketing manager for an international communications company, but the blog she started to share her love of interior design is much more than just a hobby. Sometimes when I'm looking at these homes, I'm like, how do these people afford it? And most of them seem to have had high-paying jobs where they can maintain this lifestyle. So I'm not quite there yet, but she has little knickknacks in the window because she likes how they capture the light. This is in her children's room. I'm going to so do this in my room. I want to have something hanging from the ceiling. Now, this section is a part of every chapter where it talks about what the blogger loves and tips. So what does Nikki love? Nikki loves Weekday Carnival, and that's a blog. So the blogs she loves are Weekday Carnival, Moccasin, Time of the Aquarius. And then it lists the shops that she loves and top blogging tips. Choose a subject that you're passionate about because it will take a lot of your time. Don't see blogging as a one-way medium to broadcast yourself. Become part of an online community and share thoughts, but ask for ideas too. So a lot of these early people had black and white, and they even used things that I never thought about using, like this tape. This next blogger, Bodhi and Fu, She likes using tape. Me, I can't. I can't get with tape. I mean, I'll try, but I don't want to see the tape on the wall. But for some reason, hers works. It works. Some of them will have a certain section where they'll freshen up the area. I am going to try to do that when I'm done decluttering, but right now I'm just purging before I get into becoming more stylish. And I'm trying to get a blend between organized maximalist for real. She says, I love to constantly refresh my home, so I always keep a roll of black masking tape to hand and make mini mood boards on the wall. So, some of the things I see, like for example, crosses, to have like rosaries on a mirror. This person's home is also black and white. It's just black and white over and over and over. Even a black and white spectrum of clothes. Now, the next section is a rustic. And this one seems more like the type of style I have. I'm not like farmhouse, but rustic. It says futuristic. By combining craft mixed with vintage finds and modern buys, blogger Rebecca Proctor has managed to fuse all the strands of her various passions together to make her Cornish coastal cottage a contemporary family home. Her blog, Futuristic, marries her love of cutting-edge design with her penchant for a more traditional rustic approach to homemaking. I guess you would call this cottagecore before cottagecore. I think it's really cute. Looks kind of farmhouse-ish. Rebecca has hung an Edwardian-style clothes error in front of the kitchen stove. It's really useful, she says. When we moved in, we didn't put it up for a few years, and when we finally did, I couldn't believe we lived without it for so long. I love winter here. We snuggle up, play board games, and drink hot chocolate beside the stove. Now, this is her little cozy section. And this is the clothes dryer where her socks are hanging. Yeah, like I noticed with the rustic section, it's almost like thrift store finds combined together, which is essentially like, except like in my apartment, ignore the floor. In my apartment, when I moved here, I was just like, this is so depressing. Like, it's just the walls. Like, it was already gray because there's a building next door to me, so I kind of get sunlight, but the walls just made it darker. So I try to brighten it up with like all my different paintings and art in my books. This section will look different by the end of next year. I assure you, I'll probably have fish hanging from the ceiling or something. But I feel like these rustic is just an eclectic mashup of thrift store finds and personal items that people love. What I love throughout this book is each blogger is very passionate about what they do. It's not just something they throw together. They actually put work into it. They actually are attached to their designs. Their art, or their home is the ever-evolving art piece. So, in futuristic, what she has over here, she has, this is her children, her little child. She has some old toys and books, and she has some wooden frames. This one is from an old newspaper that she used as wallpaper. Now, I don't think I could go as far as using newspaper as wallpaper, but whatever. It works for her. This one is Dreamy White. This is in the UK. Once again, it's almost more like farmland, cottage, out in the woods, 1800s, turn of the century. Yet another fireplace. That's pretty cool, though. I don't trust myself with the fireplace. These little wooden doors right here that she turned into hanging photographs. That's actually pretty clever. I couldn't do that because I would need these doors attached to something. I mean, if it was attached to this and it opened and I could see the photographs, that would work for me. But since it's not, but she made it work. This is an art piece. But why is there a, you know what, never mind. I don't even know. She also has a section, and this is a different blogger, by the way. This blogger whose name is, their blog is called Dreamy White. On this page, she says, I'm always drawn to blue glass. It's an ongoing collection, admits Maria, who owns an impressive array of turquoise glass containers, from French La Lorraine bottles to American Blue Ball mason jars. She displays them on a marble-topped folding table and lines them up next to the window. See, she can get away with this. Like, the rust right here, I can't. I could never. But for her home, it works. I don't know why. It just does. But for mine, it would just make mine look even trashier. Like, no. But I understand her obsession with bottles because I have the same thing, but it's with my vases. Like, cups. I like using cups for different things. Like, I have this cup where I have my scissors. It's a mug that I never plan on using. I just want to use it as a little holder. I would show you my little purple vase, but it's holding all of my devotionals. Just have, knickknacks and objects that I like personally. Next, retro chic. One thing I wish that the author would have done is explain in the book what these actual themes mean. Like, what does rustic mean? Overall, a generic term. What does retro chic mean as a generic term? You kind of figure it out when you look at the bloggers, but it would be nice to have a definition there. This one is SF Girl by the Bay, so I guess San Francisco Girl by the Bay. Set back from the road, tucked away in a verdant courtyard in San Francisco's famously sunny Noa Valley, is Victoria Smith's stylish and homely apartment where she lives with her dog, Lucy. It's in a smart early 1900s building covered with purple blooms. So it has like a wooden table with flowers. I would decorate my room like this. I would just have different chairs, but I would decorate it similar. She also, it seems like she loves bringing natural flowers into her home. Victoria loves pink dahlias, the official flower of San Francisco, arranged in a shallow teak bowl. I go to the market on Friday, so I have fresh flowers for the weekend. It's always inspiring to wander through the stalls. I've been seeing a lot of symbols of crosses in some of these bloggers, and I don't know if it's like the cross or if it's like a pre-Christian symbol or if it represents something else or American. I don't know. But I've seen this pattern in other parts of this book. After a while, by the time I reached the end of the book, I was very overwhelmed because things started looking the same. And the only person that I could find that mentioned this was somebody's review on Amazon. They were talking about if you don't know anything about interior design, it would be impressive to you. But if you've seen it all, this just looks like a Pinterest scrapbook, which I thought was very interesting because I realized in a way she was right. If I didn't have the bloggers telling me what their unique styles were in this book, it probably would have been the same to me as well. But then I think, again, it's 2014. I don't know if Pinterest was there or how popular it was, so maybe it was something new that people hadn't thought of. We didn't have TikTok like that. We didn't have, well, I think we had Instagram, maybe, but no. Did we have Instagram? But I still think it's a good introduction. We get exposure to different styles. Let's see. I don't want to run out of time or make this video too long. But I'm going to show you, okay, I'm going to show you some apartments that really stood out to me. Where I'm just like, whoa. So, this lady, oh joy. This lady is a wife, she's a mother, and it's like neat. Her apartment's neat, but it also looks like a mashup of all sorts of different styles in one apartment. It's very fun. Hers is similar to what I'm trying to do. That's why I really studied hers. Except I don't think I would use the hangers as a jewelry hook. Like, no, I can't do that. I also like how a lot of these people have like different blankets or different scarves to freshen up based off of the season, like freshen up the room. It makes me want to change my entire bed set. In the future, I'm going to go either get a unicorn bed set or a sunflower bed set. For now, while I'm still single. Now, if I get married, I don't know what my bed set will look like because, you know, there's like some dude and he probably doesn't want to sleep in a unicorn blanket. Like, I don't know. But for now, since I'm by myself, I'm going to have my little unicorn blanket or my sunflower comforter with pillows of all shapes and sizes. Troll doll pillows, elephant pillows, piggy pillows. It's going to be a circus up in here in a good way. Let's see. This right here is, look at this wallpaper, like, dude, gold. I love this page. This is gorgeous. Now, there was one blogger whose home was so, I wish I could explain it. Hold on. It was Happy Mundane. At happymundane.com. And this is a guy. And his apartment was so put together, it reminded me of this man I know or knew that owned an art gallery in town, and he was also an engineer. So one day he was showing me his home because I was trying to have an art show at his gallery. So he's like, come see my home. It's next door to the gallery. That was the first the first home I had ever gone to where everything looked like it was in the perfect place. So much symmetry. I actually gasped. And I don't gasp a lot, but that's how impressive it was. And this page just reminds me, but more colorful, because the man's theme was like silver and black, steel, sleek. It was so cold. But this one, he's having fun with all of these colors, like the blues, the browns. How does it work? It's just so much fun. Look at this. And then even if he uses a different color scheme, it still works. It's so perfect. And then he even had like a wall. Like he'll like paint a wall to make a section instead of knocking out a wall, just to divide a room. It's so perfect. It's just so clean and neat and non-catastrophic like my home. I'm sorry, I just had to show you. Like, look at this is so retro. Like, this is one of my favorite apartments, if you can't tell. I also love how the bloggers in here will buy from other bloggers, or they'll buy directly from other artists. I need to start doing that. I just create my own artwork. So this one, Justina Blakeney, established 1979. This one kind of reminds me of what I'm trying to go for in my apartment. Like, she has books. She has all these little strange objects on the shelf. In my room, I have all these little different figurines. It kind of reminds me of that. This one. Yes. I just want to crash on this couch. Yes. This is what I want my living room to be like. I want hanging plants. I'd like up there where I knocked down off my smoke detector. I want that to be just like a hanging wall of plants. Just hanging. I want it to look like a hanging gardens of Kiara. This actually made me depressed when I looked at this picture because it reminded me of my apartment I had before I moved to Hawaii. This right here. This is a window. In my bedroom, I had a stained glass window, and I had a little square thing, and I would put all of my plants in there so you could see the light coming through the glass. And that's what this reminded me of. So whenever I get a house, whenever I buy a house, I'm going to have stained glass windows, and I'm going to have a window just like this, and I'm going to have fun. And then some people in here are artisans themselves. Like, there's a woman in here that does crocheting, and she crochets a lot of her things. It's Ida Interior Lifestyle. But forget that page. Look at this one. Hold on. She made all these crocheted things and stitching things. That's why I have all my art on the wall, and it's only going to get crazier. I can guarantee that. By the end of 2024, it's going to be a fun house. So the last chapter tells you how to create your own blog. It gives you a step-by-step process of how to do it. They also include quotes from the interviews from the book. So you read these quotes in the book as you read it, but they put it in the end just to remind you, like thinking of your blog name and all these different things. This is still relevant even though it's 2023. It's still relevant. And Rachel Whiting, you are talented. I'm sorry I didn't read your bio because I didn't want to look online and find like 7 different Rachel Whitings. But you're amazing. You really made this book. You were the book. And of course Ellie Tennant, the author too. Yeah, she did good too. But Rachel, your photography, superb. So, I do recommend this book. If you just like looking at beautiful pictures, if you need something to just mindlessly flip through when you're bored one day, or if you need ideas of how to decorate your home, they did have some unconventional ideas that I've never used on my walls, like taping things to the walls or having rusted items in your home, or like having just sections of space just to display different things. Like right now, as I'm decluttering, I have this right here. I have a plant. All of the artwork on the wall is mine except that one that says love, and that picture you see right there. My Uncle Richard painted that of me when I was a little girl. Because I would talk so much, kind of like how I do now. Never shutting up. And that right here, I painted that when I was 17. That's me, of course. Posters and all these different things. And, of course, my porcelain doll collection. But we gonna fix you. Everybody gonna have their place up in here. So, yeah. If you are interested in, getting some ideas or starting your collection of books on interior design, I highly recommend this book. So thank you, everybody. I will see you all soon, and have a wonderful day.